Another marathon session of talks. These lasted 14 hours and ran into the early hours. But now Europe is a step closer to becoming a single economic area. EU finance ministers have agreed a deal on a banking union. It will mark one of the most significant transfers of power away from individual governments to Europe as a whole. Now, the union would see the European Central Bank regulating Europe's banks. France and Germany initially disagreed on exactly which of the region's 6,000 banks should be included. Well, Germany said only the biggest banks should be supervised in this way. France wanted the deal to extend to all of them. Well, eventually they did compromise. Now, only those with more than 30 billion euros of assets will have to sign up.
After 14 hours of talks, European finance ministers have reached a deal to give the European Central Bank new supervisory powers. All 27 member states agreed to hand the ECB the authority to police directly the Eurozone's biggest banks and to intervene in smaller ones at the first sign of trouble. The new system, which should be up and running by March 2014, represents a major step towards establishing full banking union. The new rules are seen as vital in order to bolster the euro, since it was banking failures which triggered the financial crisis. It's now up to EU leaders to give the accord their full political backing.
It is about supervising together, taking measures on a European scale, knowing we are dealing with thousands of banks, many of which are cross-border banks, and many of which, when they aren't doing well at home, have negative consequences on other countries in Europe.
The ECB will be at the centre of the project, supervising banks with more than 30 billion euros in assets. They'll be able to shut down institutions that don't follow the rules. Banks within the 17 Eurozone states will be affected, although non-Eurozone countries can opt into the Union too. Sweden and the UK had been reluctant to endorse certain regulatory measures. London, for example, is keen to safeguard the city's powers when it comes to currency transactions. In the end, Sweden's finance minister said they'd agreed to disagree when it comes to the initiative.
I think we found a good compromise. These have been very tough negotiations. Sweden will remain outside the banking union, but we believe that this is a good compromise.
The deal still has to be corroborated by EU leaders. Political validation that will be high on the agenda at Thursday and Friday's summit in Brussels.